Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to ITGO YouTube. Today I'm so excited because I'm going to be doing another Zoom interview. So today I'll be interviewing the Campbell sisters, Kate and Bronte Campbell, and you might recognize them from the Olympics. They both actually won 2 gold medals. Well, one of them won 2 and one of them won 1 gold medal, which is awesome. So I'm so excited that we'll be able to chat to them today, and they also just dropped a book, so make sure to go check that out. It's called Sister Secrets and definitely recommend. Let's jump straight in. So congratulations on your gold medals and of course your book as well. That's awesome.
Aw, thank you. It already feels like a long time ago.
Yeah. So how does it feel to be like almost back home with a gold medal in your back pocket?
To be honest, it feels really surreal, like we never really left because it just all happened so quickly, and then we were home again, and it feels very weird. I've come back to Sydney. Sydney's in lockdown, so it's a bit odd. I'm just sort of sitting in my room. I'm not sitting in my room staring at my medal. That's depressing. I'm sitting in my room staring at the view. A lot better. It's
Yeah.
good.
So how does it feel to like share such a win with your sister?
Yeah, it's pretty special. Bronte and I had the dream of going to the Olympics together, and we had that dream when we were 9 and 7 years old. And now we've been to 3 Olympics together, which just seems crazy. But then it's always extra special to get to share the top of the podium with my sister, and then of course 2 of other really good friends. But it makes it very, very special.
Yeah.
Roxy, do you have a sister?
I do have a sister. I also have a brother as well.
Do you reckon you would like to go to the Olympics with your sister, or do you think you'd just fight?
Well, knowing my sister, it would be a little bit annoying, but maybe when she's older, but there's nothing that like we're really that good at that we could, actually compete in the Olympics for.
Yeah, when me and Kate were younger, we used to think that each other were a little bit annoying too, especially because I
Yeah.
was the younger sister, so I was a bit annoying. But then we were able to do it together, which was really special for both of us.
So what is it like to be on the same race team as your sister? So do you treat each other like any other teammate, or do you just give each other that extra little push?
No, it's pretty special having someone in your family on the relay team with you, because um you can read each other and you know exactly what they want. Like I know when Kate
Mhm.
needs to be left alone, and when she wants a bit of someone getting around her or giving her a bit of a pep talk, or whether she just wants some quiet time or music or someone being silly. And so it's yeah, I mean, when it's your sister, it's very easy to know what they need and to just hang out. And then I mean, for me on my first team, it was amazing to have Kate in the relay because she'd been there and done that before, and so I could rely on her experience, and she could sort of guide me through it all. So I felt like I'd been there even though I hadn't. It was just Kate helping me out.
Yeah. So how does training for a relay work? Do you all train together or individually?
No, so we all train individually all around the country. Bronte and I obviously train together because we have the
Yeah.
same coach, and we've trained against each other and with each other for a very long time. But the rest of the girls train under different coaches and in different parts of the country. And we kind of only get together a couple of times a year. And even though it is a team event, it's still pretty individual. Like everyone still has to swim their individual parts. Probably where the team element comes in is where the changeover. So when one person, the swimmer coming in, touches the wall, and then the person on the block has to dive, and getting that change over time really good so that you don't waste any time there is probably a really important part to practice. And
Mm.
we know the girls, and we've competed with them for a really long time, and we get together a couple of times a year and focus on that.
So other than the win, of course, what was the highlight of the games for each of you?
I think my highlight was probably watching Kate in the 100 freestyle. So she won a bronze medal in that race, and for me that was really exciting to be in the stands and watching that, and getting to, there weren't many people allowed in the Olympic stands, but other swimmers were allowed up there, so we got to be up there and to see her stand on the podium and win a bronze medal. And that was a pretty incredible moment. Even though I wasn't down there with her, I still felt like I was sharing that with her. So that was definitely my highlight.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I was really lucky. I got to stay behind a couple of extra days after the rest of the swimmers left. So I got to actually go and watch a couple of the other sports. So I got to go to the athletics track. I watched Peter Bowl, where he had his 800 meters and ran such a brave race and just got fourth in that. I got to go out to basketball a couple of times and watch the boxing and some equestrian as well. So I was really lucky because everyone else had to go home a little bit early, and they didn't get to watch any of the other sports.
Oh, that's nice. So, how did it feel when the games were cancelled last year because of the pandemic? So, as a professional athlete, like, how did you get around that?
It was so frustrating when they were cancelled. I mean, it seems like a long time ago now. I know everyone's having everything cancelled now. Like if you're at school, all the formals
Yeah.
and year 12's cancelled and your graduation's cancelled and everyone's doing school at home, and it's definitely the year of cancellations. But yeah, I just remember being very, very frustrated because we've done a lot of work, and then it was sort of like, oh, that's all for nothing because now the games are postponed and you don't have access to a swimming pool and we don't know when you're going to be able to swim again. So it was definitely not my favorite day of the year. But in that we got given like a whole extra year to prepare, right? I didn't really want a whole extra year to prepare, but once they like gave me that gift of an extra year, there's heaps of opportunities there. So there's heaps of little things that I could focus on that helped me get through the rest of the year. So it wasn't ideal, but hey, it all happened in the end. We made it and we're on the other side of it.
Yeah. So, were either of you nervous going into the games with the pandemic still around?
I think that my mentality going into the games was that they were on until I heard that they were off.
Yeah.
But of course, I think that exactly, with so many things being cancelled at the last minute and so many changes going on, a little part of me was like, oh, this probably isn't going to happen. You know, even when we got on the aeroplane to go over to Japan, I was just like, something could happen. Something could happen between now and when we get into the Olympic Village. But I think it was almost like I only really believed it was happening when we walked out on pool deck to race. I was like, okay, cool, this is actually happening. Nothing's going to stop them now. And I think once they had started, there was no way that they were going to cancel them. So once we got through the opening ceremony and the first few days of competition, it was like, all right, these are going ahead. So yeah, kind of at every moment I was always like, oh, are they going to get postponed? Are they going to get cancelled? But I'm very glad that we made it.
So can you guys give us like a little brief background story as to how you actually got into swimming?
Yeah, we got into swimming sort of in different ways. We always loved being around the water. My mum was a synchronized swimmer back in Malawi where we grew up. So she always taught us to love the water, and we were in it from a very young age. But it was only when we moved to Australia when I was 7 that I started training, and I'd watched the Olympics in 2000 and I knew I wanted to be a swimmer. So I got in the pool and like really, really went for it. And Kate sort of just got dragged along swimming training. She didn't want to be there quite as much as I did.
So where did your swimming talent come from? Like, are there any other amazing swimmers in your family?
Yeah, so like Bronte said, our mum was a synchronized swimmer. So I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like dancing in water. They call it artistic swimming now. Yeah, so she did that for South Africa, and she was good enough to go to an Olympic Games or a World Championships or Commonwealth Games. But it was during a political time in South Africa called apartheid. So South Africa was actually banned from all international sporting competitions because the political climate there was not very good. So she never got that option to go and do that. But I think that that's probably where our love of the water came from, and our natural talent as well.
So do you guys know if we'll ever get to see you compete again, like together?
I don't know. You're going for the real scoop there, but I don't even know yet. We're both just taking a bit of time off and figuring out what the next step is. So I mean, that could have been our last race together. We're just don't know yet. We might come back to the sport, we might move on. Everyone keeps telling me that Paris is only 3 years away, and I keep telling them that 3 years is a really, really long time. So we'll have to wait and see.
So let's get into your book, Sister Secrets. So what made you guys decide that you wanted to write it?
Well, like all stories it began with someone sliding into my Instagram DMs. I got a message from a school teacher. Don't look so shocked, it's okay. I got a message from a school teacher and it just said, "Hey, Kate, just wondering if you and Bronte had a book, because I'm a librarian and I always like to recommend books to young adults. And there seem to be a lot of books for professional sports or for male sports people, but there isn't anything that I can see on swimming, which seems strange because it's such a big sport in our country." And I was like, well, the answer to that question is no, we don't have a book. But then I picked up the phone and I was like, "Hey, Bronte, how do you feel about writing a book?" And I think that we wanted to do this and to target, the young adult age group because we wanted to inspire the next generation of athletes, to tell them to keep going, keep pursuing their dreams. Yes, it's hard, but that's normal. And if we can do it, we're not extraordinary by any stretch of the imagination. We just had a really big dream and we worked hard and we had a good support network around us. So it was actually a really fun process to write and put together.
Yeah, so how long did it actually take for you guys to write the book, like the whole process from when you decided that you wanted to write it to the day it was printed?
It did take quite a long time. It was probably well over a year, probably just because of how spread out things got. So initially we wrote it, we were trying to get it ready for after the 2020 Olympics, and then the postponement. So then that got pushed back a year, and we added bits about COVID, and then we didn't actually completely finish writing until after we'd finished Olympics. So as soon as we got back from the Olympics, we had a little bit more writing to do to finish it off. So it was probably 18 months from when we decided to do it to when it actually got done. But there was obviously a lot of breaks in there as we were waiting for things to happen, because we knew we wanted to talk about the Olympics and write about 2021. So we just had to wait for that to actually come around before we could finish it off.
Yeah, so are there any secrets or funny stories, facts that didn't make it into the book that you can tell us right now? Like maybe a secret thing about the other sister?
That's a great question. This is my favorite secret thing about Kate, is that she gets frightened, scared so easily. It is probably the easiest thing in the world to do, is to scare Kate. You pretty much just have to walk into a room where she is and make any sort of noise, or just don't make a noise, just stand there and she'll look up and start screaming. I probably scare her sometimes on purpose, sometimes not, at least once a week. So I mean, that's something that I love about Kate, is she's always on high alert for startle reflex. So if anyone sees Kate walking around, just feel free to go up and give it a try. I absolutely guarantee that she will scream at you.
Please don't. It's stressful enough when I'm hanging around Bronte. Yeah, sometimes she scares me twice in one training session. What can I tell you about Bronte? Well, she's, if you're looking for dirt, she's what can I say about Bronte?
I'm perfect.
Yeah. Look, she lets her room get quite messy. During competition, we have often roomed together, and look, I'm not a very tidy person, so that needs to be said as well. But yeah, the side of Bronte's room can just get so messy. When we're in competition, all order goes completely out the window.
So what do you guys hope that your readers gain from reading your book?
I hope anyone that reads it just feels a little bit less alone in their experience. I think that was a big thing for both of us, is that even though we've done lots of the same things, we've actually had quite different stories to tell. And just because your journey doesn't look the same as someone else's doesn't mean it's not going to end up in the right place or you're not on the right track. I get compared to Kate a lot because she's older than me and she found success before me. And I feel like that's a huge trap, is always comparing yourself to someone else. So knowing that you're not alone, but also knowing that you don't have to compare yourself to other people. Just stick to your guns, stick to your own thing.
So you're both like very talented at swimming, as we've seen, but can you share with us something that you're not so good at?
How long have you got? That's a really, really long list. We both kind of because we are not good at anything else. I got a black eye from playing softball at school. I broke my finger playing touch football. I cried after doing my first cross country because it was just the most painful thing I've ever done, and it was horrible. So that's just sport. I can't do any of those. I'm really, really bad at telling my left from my right. Like really bad. You should never have me as navigator in the car because I'll say, turn right, and someone will turn right. And I'm like, why did you do that? And they're like, well, you said turn right. I was like, oh no, I meant left. So that's probably the thing that I'm worst at, and it drives people absolutely crazy. And I try really hard to be better at it, but I'm just terrible.
So Sydney is, well, we all know Sydney's currently in lockdown and it's not the best thing ever. So what do you guys do to entertain yourselves when you're stuck at home? So have you picked up anything, like any new hobbies?
Yeah, I'm in Sydney. Kate's actually, she after Olympics made the wise decision maybe to stay up in Brisbane. So she's pretty lucky up there. I love doing pottery, so that's something I picked up in my last lockdown. So my goal for the end of the year is to make all the crockery in my house. So any time you're eating anything in my house, it's all something that I made by hand. So that's my goal, and I'm well on my way to doing that. Most of the things in here I already made, and then I've got about 50 indoor plants, which that takes a lot of looking after. Like they are almost a full-time job. One of them has mealy bugs right now, which means I have to go through and wipe down every leaf with rubbing alcohol and repeat the process every 2 weeks, which is it probably takes me about an hour to do the plant, and then I have to do it next week as well. So my plants and my pottery keep me very, very busy, and I love it.
So you've kind of already done this, but can you tell me a completely random fact about yourself?
Ooh. That's a hard one. Completely random fact.
I hate tomatoes. Fresh tomato, it just does not belong on anything. And I never have it in the house. Yeah. I can have cooked tomato sauce, spaghetti bolognese, all of that, but fresh tomatoes, I'll pick it out of everything. And I hate it when they leave the little seeds behind. Like if you pick it off a burger and it leaves a little seed behind, and I eat my burger and I'm like, ugh, tomato's been here. Yeah.
I can't think of anything random fact about myself. I mean, I'm real, like Kate said, a bit messy, but like just very, very disorganized. So I always forget things like at the Olympics, I forgot to bring my swimming togs to the pool one day. So I had to borrow someone's togs. These glasses that I'm wearing right now, I left them in Tokyo and Kate had to bring them back for me. So I think the term they use is a hot mess most of the time.
Okay, so the last thing that I have for you today is a sister quiz. So basically one of you is going to answer all these questions, and while the other one keeps a score. So who wants to answer the questions and who wants to keep the score?
I'll keep score.
Okay, so it's questions about your sister. So what is Kate's favorite color?
That's hard. I mean, the color she's wearing right now is very much her favorite color in terms of what she wears. But apart from that, she really likes like a dark green, like that really dark palette. That's Kate. How did I do? Is that pretty close?
That's exactly right.
Okay, if she could travel anywhere in the world, where would she go?
I know she's dying to get to Ningaloo Reef, which is over in WA. So I think that would be her number one spot to get to right now.
What is her go-to snack or meal when she's having a cheat day?
Ice cream. Kate's obsessed with ice cream, and she puts Milo in it. She loves like putting the Milo in, like stirring it up. So it's sort of like a Sunday sort of McFlurry vibe.
What is her biggest fear or phobia?
Oh, I mean, apart from just people jumping out and giving her a fright, which really seems to get her. I don't know. She's not really afraid of very much, are you? Not really into the red spiders or snakes or anything like that.
Yeah, probably the fright. Yeah, you're right. But like, I'm not really afraid of anything, but then I get startled a lot.
And last question, what is her guilty pleasure?
Oh, guilty pleasure. I know this one too, and this probably, like, you will not know what I'm talking about, but The Cloud's Daughters, which is this like really old, really bad TV show about these girls on a farm, and it's shocking. It's honestly just ridiculous, but it's it was around in the early 2000s, and we used to watch it. But I know she's been watching that even all through Olympics. She was watching that, so I'd say that's most likely her guilty pleasure.
Okay, so Kate,
definitely.
What was the score?
5 out of 5.
Pretty good. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on today and chatting with me.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Roxy. It's nice to chat.
Thank you. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed interviewing the Campbell sisters. They were so cool and so funny. Well, I really hoped you liked learning about their journey in swimming, and hopefully you can achieve your goal one day too. But thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!